Welcome back to more mother-in-law stories where users share their crazy experiences with their own mother-in-laws, and we might even feel a little bit better about our own mother-in-law. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our awesome community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, Mother-in-law loses unsupervised visiting privileges. Background: my daughter goes to her grandma's house, my mother-in-law, one afternoon per week for grandma time. My husband has always let it be at my discretion, and I have fought my anxiety to accommodate this. Mother-in-law has tried to turn my husband and I against each other multiple times, but has since figured out we are a team. The story goes like this. 2 weekends ago, my husband and I went to my mother-in-law's house and corporal punishment for our daughter came up. We have committed to no hitting, slapping or spanking and said no one else is to do it either. Wording is not verbatim. Mother-in-law said she's going to do it anyways because
that is how they were raised and they turned out just fine.
Me, I informed her that she will not. Our kid, our rules. My husband stood by me and agreed. Mother-in-law fought back and said that she will hit anyways, and in a half-joking tone said,
"And if you don't like it, just don't bring her over."
Me, in a cheery, made it clear I took her serious voice. Okay. Mother-in-law was taken aback and realized she shot herself in the foot. She tried to renege, but after all the crap she has put me through, I did not let her. After we left, she called my husband and was almost in tears and asked that we
not stop bringing our daughter over because she loves having her there so much.
I know this woman and she does not cry, and she was trying to manipulate my husband, which he agreed with. Since our daughter going over there is at my discretion, I told him after the latest development I no longer chose to fight my anxiety and will no longer be taking her over. He agreed to this. Our daughter hasn't been there alone for almost 3 weeks and mother-in-law is not a happy camper. You want to disrespect all the decisions we make for our daughter? You are a dumbass. You insist on doing things your way because
that is how we did it and we survived.
You're an idiot. You are going to hit our daughter after we said no? Say bye-bye to your unsupervised visiting privilege. Grandma time is a privilege, not a right. And guys, I gotta say, I would probably instantly go no contact with my future in-laws in case they would hit my child, but in this case, even just saying, oh, I am willing to hit your child is definitely an absolute no-go. What would you do if your mother-in-law said that to you? Let us know in the comments. And the next one is titled, Today I screwed up by not telling my husband and his parents that I knew their native language and then speaking in the said language in front of them. I actually posted this on Am I the A-hole a few days back. Some people suggested I post this here as well, so here it goes. This story has 4 characters, my husband 28 male, me 27 female, mother-in-law and father-in-law. Even though husband and I are Indians, we are from different state. He's from North India and I am from West India. Mother-in-law thinks I don't know their native language. The thing is, I do understand it. I've picked up a lot of words and phrases from hearing my husband speak and from songs etc. I understand enough to comprehend. We could be at dinner at my in-laws' house and the conversation would go like this. Mother-in-law switches to her native tongue and makes some remark about me. Husband defends me in native tongue and asks her to stop. This used to be very funny to me because these people thought I did not know what they were saying about me, and I found his mother's remarks very Indian mother-ish, nothing offensive really. For example, she would say to my face that the food I cooked is tasty, but then switch to her native language and go,
"There's so much salt in it. Is your wife trying to give me a blood pressure problem?"
Sometimes it was hard to keep a straight face. A few days back we were FaceTiming with my in-laws and my mother-in-law says something in the native tongue. This is where the F-up happens. I was not paying attention and I thought she spoke to me, so I replied in the same language. Now, I didn't even know if I could speak it since I'd never really tried. I thought it was more of a, I understand but I cannot speak it. If the surprised Pikachu meme was real, it would be the expression of my husband and his parents. I don't think I will ever forget how their faces looked. I wish I could have taken a picture. Mother-in-law has been sugary sweet to me. She's been sending all these "good mornings" and "hope you're well" texts to me. I hate this new mother-in-law. I prefer her subtle way of being fake than her obvious way of being fake. I feel like I lost a superpower. I won't get to hear mother-in-law's running commentary about me. Those were really entertaining. I looked forward to family dinners just for her taunts, which she thought I couldn't understand. I really effed up bad by slipping up. And guys, if you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support me. Thank you so much in advance, and by the way, if you haven't already, it would mean the world to me if you could subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much in advance. And the next one is titled, My mother-in-law is trying to ruin my life and my marriage. When my husband, 30 male, and I, 25 female, were dating, she seemed nice enough. He is Hispanic, I am white, and my mother is an immigrant from Germany. I thought she was very overbearing and obsessive about her son, but I was told by a lot of my friends that it is common with the culture, so I didn't really think anything of it at the time. But it got so much worse when we got engaged. When he told her we were engaged, she took us out to dinner. She was still acting all nice, but it was off. The minute my husband left the table to go to the restroom, she cracked. She asked what I wanted to do with my life. Common right. I told her I wanted to be a dermatologist. She then said,
My son wants to be in the military. And you want to be a doctor? That will never work. I work in a hospital and I see doctors getting divorced all the time. You're going to cheat on him just like every military spouse does. And you're never going to see each other. And I don't want that life for my son. You'd best leave him now before you get his hopes up.
I was seething. You see, his dad was military and she pretty much ruined his entire life. And I could see she was going to try the same with me. I'm not going to get into that, though, because that is an entirely different story. To sum it up, she got him dishonorably discharged on a lie. He is in the process of getting it all reversed because of one of the people involved confessed to it being a lie. I kept my mouth shut at first, but she kept going and would not drop it. Eventually, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I told her, just because you did all of that doesn't mean I will. She started screaming at me and then saw my husband was coming back to the table. Then put on her nice face. He wasn't aware of what happened and I didn't tell him for quite a while. He was leaving for BMT in a month and didn't want to stress him out. Fast forward to when we got married. We didn't have a ceremony, but his mom still showed up. We already had our witnesses for signing stuff. He explicitly told her not to come because we would have a ceremony later. She showed up anyway with his 3 uncles and abuelita, who did not know that we didn't want any family there. We had to limit it to us and our 2 witnesses. We chose to have our closest friends be our witnesses, his best bro and my college roommate. The judge guy said that mother-in-law and family could not be in the room, and she fought him to the point he just let her and family in. She tried to sit between husband and I, and the judge guy drew the line there and literally had to tell her to find another seat. She eventually just moved, but this did not stop her from sitting between us for every single picture my roommate took. She was a photography major and said it is still a wedding, you need pictures. 5 days after we got married, he went to BMT. His mom continued to harass me. Fast forward to his graduation and it was worse. She tried to sit with me for the spouse briefing or whatever, and a military guy had to tell her to leave. She tried to come with me to another special spouse thing and had to be told to leave that as well. She constantly tried to tell me I didn't care throughout the ceremony and even said she would bet money we won't last a year. This graduation happened the same week as my finals week for college. I was tired, I was stressed, and I was graduating the week after. She was making everything awful, but I put on a face for my husband because he was super proud of himself and I didn't want to ruin his graduation. Fast forward to when he got sent to tech school. My parents were pushing me to move out because I was married and stuff. Reasonable husband secured base housing for me and we were going through the moving shindig. He could not help because tech school. My dad helped a lot and got everything together at his house. Husband had some stuff at his mom's house he wanted, so I scheduled with her to have my dad and I come get his stuff. All during this moving stuff, she kept asking my dad a lot of questions about me and gossiping and stuff. My dad was military and he does not have a filter. He told her, either get out of my way and shut up or start packing. Among other things, she did not like this. Fast forward to when she came to visit at our base after tech school. She brought abuelita and uncles. The rest of his side of the family was always nice. I cannot speak Spanish very well, but I can understand it very well. Whenever I try to speak Spanish for whatever reason, German comes out instead. I heard her talking garbage about me to abuelita about how I
took her son away and poisoned him,
or whatever. He had started standing up to her BS because his dad told him what happened and he got pissed. For whatever reason, grandmothers have always loved me. Abuelita slapped her and told her to essentially get her head out of her ass. I figured maybe this would actually make her stop the nonsense. However, it did not. She continued to harass me, but it got even worse. She started talking crap about me to my husband and started calling my workplace. I work at a college in administration. She started calling my work saying I was violating policies and being rude and all kinds of stuff. This led to a sit down with my boss and the big boss. I also had to have a discussion with HR. I was suspended for a while. They did a bit of an investigation. When they decided that it couldn't have been true, they talked to me again and got my full side of the story. Luckily, they believed me, but that did not make her stop. However, it still looked really bad because they had to make a report every single time. This could ruin my career. Fast forward to now, my husband got orders to a new base. We are going overseas. Now she is pretending to be saying stuff like,
"Oh, I cannot wait to visit you,"
and all that. My husband is saying that maybe she's getting better. However, she is not. She gave him wrong advice on what to do, and now we are having to do a lot of stuff last minute that we should have gotten done months ago. I told him to double check with his people, but he didn't, and there's only so much I could do on my end. Luckily, we are getting it together and it is working out. If we hadn't, it would have ruined his career. I literally have no idea how to get her to leave us alone and be normal, I guess, rather than psychotic. I eventually told him about the conversation in the restaurant and he was not surprised. He asked if that was why I gave up on medical school. It wasn't. I had a lot of medical stuff come up and had a change of career choice. I couldn't have survived the stress, literally. So yeah, lots of fun. And the next one is titled, Mother-in-law insisted she wanted a drink, so I gave it to her. Mother-in-law never really liked me, because I got her adult son to move out of their home and have a good life. She's the type to question every success you have, all the while downplaying anything in your life. Honestly, don't know why father-in-law is still with her. Yesterday was her daughter's birthday. I love her very much like my own sister, and although she cannot have an extravagant 21st birthday, we planned a nice dinner at their home. We brought everything we needed as well as drinks. She is 21 after all. She requested we get some soju. Now for those who don't know what that is, it is a popular Korean alcohol drink. It is in these bright green bottles packaged within this bright green box. Usually plastered with portraits of cute girls looking like they love this drink. At a glance, it does not look like alcohol since American beers and such are more bland looking than this. Since their home basically had nothing for us to use for the meats we brought over, we had to go to the store a lot of times. Including the birthday girl herself, we really tried to make the best of the situation, but the entire time mother-in-law was running her mouth.
"What? There's no soy sauce? What the hell?"
says the woman sitting and playing on her phone, not helping us look.
"Why would you move to a cheap place? What did you expect? Of course it's going to be crap now,"
says the woman who never paid for her house. Father-in-law pays for everything.
"Don't cook here, it's going to smell like meat,"
she says while we are cooking in the kitchen. What is the kitchen supposed to be used for? These are only a few examples of everything she said that night. Father-in-law was nowhere to be seen since she usually runs her mouth until he has had enough. I was mixing my concoction of soju, Yakult and Sierra Mist by the time she hovers over to the kitchen. She asks me what I was doing with a grimace on her face. Me? It's a Korean drink. Mother-in-law?
"Why are you not making me one?"
Are you sure? This is not just a normal drink, it is...
"Stop excluding me, I want one,"
says the woman who basically sat through everything and complained the whole time. We did try to include her, but all we got were sarcasm and complaints. I roll my eyes and start making her one. Until I realized we got flavored soju, meaning it literally tastes like juice. So you best believe I just dunked a half a bottle in that cocktail and served it with minimal Yakult and Sierra Mist. She grumbled, "Sir,
"That wasn't so hard, was it?"
Every time she sees me head into the kitchen, she yells for me to make her another drink. Lol, okay, I keep doing so. Father-in-law joins me in the kitchen and was reading the bottle. He looks at me with a raised brow, just in time for mother-in-law to yell for another drink. In her mind, she is asking me nicely, but really all we hear is screeching. Me, should I give her more? Father-in-law, you heard her. Father-in-law shrugs with an evil grin. The nicest man was telling me to maliciously comply. Eventually, she starts to mellow out. No more yelling, no more complaints. Everyone was happy for the rest of the night. She actually was in such a good mood, she went upstairs and went to bed early. Such a good mood, in fact, father-in-law joined us for movie night after dinner. Sister just messaged me today and said that night was by far the best night she has had. And you know guys, that is interesting indeed. I mean, when some people get drunk, they get really nice, get in a super good mood, and other people just get extremely obnoxious and even outright dangerous. How is it for you? How does your mood change when you get drunk? Let us know in the comments. And the next one is a little extra story from our own subreddit r/ripestories, posted by user Ziggy's Flags, and it is titled, I saved my dad's life. Hey Ripe, this story is from around 30 years ago when I was around 14. So if anyone knows the area around Bakersfield, California, you know how desolate it can be. My dad's friend owned a cabin far away from any city. The closer one was New Kuama. And yes, I'm sure I pronounced that incorrectly. Anyway, it took around an hour to get to the cabin. The road up the mountain was 5 miles back on the most horrible road. Well, 2 times a year we would go and just do maintenance on the cabin. The owner was a very nice guy who has a note on the cabin allowing anyone to use it just to be respectful. So it was usually the same 3 people, the owner, my dad and another good friend. Well, this time the third friend asked to bring his buddy, we will call him Kevin. He was having a hard time and thought getting away would do him good. You need to understand how desolate this place was, and this was obviously before cell phones, not that there would be service. Of course, we brought a lot of food, beer, and we also brought our firearms. Me and my family had been around firearms our whole life. Okay, this is where it begins. The second day, we are cleaning. The new guy started drinking kind of early, but we thought, no problem, it's a vacation. So after a few hours it begins. Kevin starts drinking malt liquor, and he comes up to me and says, I have seen it. I have seen babies fly. I have seen it. The big eagles come from the sky and take the babies. So of course we were like, what the hell? He keeps it up and keeps saying the most insane things ever. So there was a bench that you can sit at and shoot across the canyon. So that day, me and my brother are walking around with our 22s just shooting. No, not animals. So we are out just kind of talking about the crazy guy, and we come around the corner of the outhouse and this guy was sitting and the bench next to my dad. Now, this is around 300 yards across the canyon and my dad has his rifle shooting across the canyon, hitting targets while this guy comes and sits on the other side of the bench and starts shooting and saying, oh, you see that shot? I hit the target. It was impossible because of the distance, so my dad was like, okay, well, this pisses Kevin off, and he starts asking my dad,
what do you think, I'm lying?
So me and my brother come around the corner and this guy is facing my dad away from me and he has the gun to my dad's head and cocks the hammer back. Well, I see this and raise my gun and point it at the back of his head. I was literally 1 second away from pulling the trigger and my dad looks up, sees me, waves me off, grabs the gun and asks him, what the F are you doing? Kevin says,
it was a joke.
So at this point it is dark and we've had enough. We tell the guy who brought him to leave. Well, we did not see Kevin, who got into the driver's seat, and they left. Remember the road. We can see the headlight from the cabin and he was driving around 60 miles per hour. So we stay for 2 more days and have an okay time with my dad, who slept with his gun out. So 2 days later we leave and head home. Well, we get home and my mom is there with like 3 of our friends, and when she sees us she bursts into tears. The guy who brought Kevin called the sheriff when he got home. They called my mom and the only thing they told her was, there was a threat to your husband and kid's life. So for a week my dad answered the door with a gun. A few months later, Kevin called my dad and apologized. Apparently, he was on strong psychotropic meds and the alcohol obviously was a bad choice. So that is my story about when I almost had to kill someone. And I gotta say guys, I am glad that I never had to use a gun and point it at someone's head. That definitely sounded like a very dangerous and extremely scary experience. But anyway, thank you Siggy's Flags for sharing it. And guys, unfortunately we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested, and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.